Hello and welcome to part 2 of Pandas for Beginners. I hope you have watched the previous video, and if you haven't, I seriously recommend that you should watch part 1 and then come back to part 2. In this part 2, we are going to see some other commands that can be executed using the Pandas library of Python and how they will be helpful in the analysis of data or in building machine learning models in the future. All right. So the very first thing that we are going to see in this video is how to copy a data set. More often it happens that you don't want to do the changes in the actual data set, but you want to make a copy of it and then want to do the analysis or make changes on it. So for that, what you can do is you can go to this part and write new df is equal to df.copy. And now when you execute it, it creates a copy of the original data frame df in this variable new df. And here if you type new df again, it will show you the same data set. All right. So you see new df has 19618 rows and 16 columns, which is similar to the original data set. If I print out the original data set here, which is df, you will see that the shape of df would be same as the shape of new df. That means nothing has changed. All the columns remain the same, all the rows remain the same. A copy has been created in the variable new df. You see. Fine. The next thing that we will see is how to find duplicates in a data set. All right. For this, we have a command called as df.duplicated. Type this command and then run. When you'll run, it will give you all the true and false values for the duplicate parts. Now false here means that this is a unique value, and true, if anywhere it is true, it will mean that it is a duplicate value in the data set. However, we are less concerned with the true and false part, and we want to see the total count of the duplicate values in the data set. For that, we type the command df.duplicated.sum, and then you run this piece of code. When you run, it gives you 0. That means in this particular data set, there is no duplicate value at all. All the values for every row are false. Next, we will see how to find correlations in a data set. Now, correlations, what correlations are, that's a topic for another video. We'll be discussing it maybe in the future videos. But for simple understanding, you should understand that correlation is the relationship between two variables of a data set or the two columns of a data set. And most of the time it happens that you have a relationship between the two columns and they don't contribute a lot to the final result. So it is important to check for correlations and treat them beforehand. The command that we use to check for correlations in a dataset is df.core. When you will run, it will give you a kind of a matrix, okay, where you have one on the main diagonal, which means this main diagonal is the correlation of this variable with itself. ID correlated to ID is 100% correlation. That is why it is 1. But host ID correlated to ID, it is 0.58. That is medium level correlation is there. Now here you also have some negative values, which means the correlation is negative. Okay, it doesn't mean this is less, but it means that this is negative. That is, it is in the opposite direction. The variables are inversely correlated. However, if you see longitude and host ID, you have a positive correlation of 0.029. So negative and positive correlation, the sign is indicated or indicative of the direction of correlation. It doesn't has to do anything with the high and low values. I hope that is clear. Then we can find the minimum, maximum and median value of a specific column in a data set also using pandas. How do we do that? You type df of price, that is for the price column. By this command we are going to access the price column. We saw this in the previous video. Dot mean will give you the average value. Okay, this gives you the average value of the column, which is $129. Then if you type df dot price, if you type df of price dot min, it will give you the minimum price uh, value, that is the minimum price in the column, which is 0. So I think this is an incorrect value in the data set itself, because no property can be having a price of 0. Let's check the maximum value. Df dot price dot max. The maximum value is 9999, which is correct. The data set has a property which is for $9,999. Then let's check the median value of this column also. The median value of this column is 58. Now I'm not going to explain what minimum and maximum and median means. These are some statistical concepts which you must be aware of, and if you're not aware of, you can read about it. Fine. Next we will see how to drop a column or multiple columns. So for example, we want to drop the minimum nights column from the data frame. Then we are going to type df.drop, and within square brackets we are going to give the name of the column, which is minimum nights. Axis is equal to 1. Axis 1 means we are talking about the columns. If axis is 0, that means we are talking about the rows. In place is equal to true. In place is equal to true is the command which makes the change permanent in the data frame. Okay, that means this column will be permanently deleted from the data frame. If we don't put this command, if in place is equal to true is not put, that means the change will not be permanent. It will be only for this particular line of code. Okay, so we're going to run this. So this has been run. Then we are also dropping here we are dropping two more columns. Okay, let us see the df column after dropping this first. Okay, let's type df. Okay, the minimum nights column will now disappear from the data frame. Okay, see 15 columns. Before this we had a total of 16 columns, but when we dropped one column, now the data frame is having 15 columns, and we don't have the column named minimum nights in this. Okay, see here, we don't have the column named minimum nights now. Or otherwise, let me just write a df.column so you will be able to see it better. Okay, so in df.columns we don't have the minimum nights column anymore, and in place is equal to true, that means the effect has been permanently done in the data frame df. Next we are trying to drop two columns together from the data frame, which is calculated host listing count and availability 365. Axis is 1 and place is true. Now let us execute this and let us see again, see the columns. Now here we had 15 columns, and here we should have 13 columns. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 and 13 columns. That means these two columns have been dropped uh, from the data frame. So this is how you can drop either one column or multiple columns simultaneously. Then there can be a scenario where you would be required to drop the rows with missing values. For that we write the command df.drop na in place is equal to true. Again, in place is equal to true makes the change permanent in the data frame. If you don't write, the change would be temporary and it would be limited to this particular cell. Fine. After we have dropped the NA values, you can check how many, uh, like we checked in the previous video, df dot is null dot sum if there are any missing values or not. Okay, now all the columns have zero missing values. I think the data frame did not had any missing values, so this particular command did not have any effect on the data set. But this is just to demonstrate how you can drop rows with missing values. This is the pandas command that you can use. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to drop the duplicate rows. For this, we have a command df.drop duplicates in place is equal to true. So drop duplicates is the command which we use to drop the duplicate rows, and again we are giving in place is equal to true because we want the change to be permanent in the data frame. After you run it, all the duplicate rows would be dropped from the data frame, and after that what we can do is we can check the number of rows that remain in the data frame now after dropping the duplicates. So a total of 13584 rows remain. However, originally I think we had some 19,000 rows in the data frame. let us see about, see here, we had 19,618 rows. That means a lot of rows had duplicate values, and here when we have dropped the duplicates, we have a total of 13,585 rows. Fine. So this is the command drop duplicates, by which we can duplicate drop the duplicate entries in the data frame. Next we will see how we can add a new column. So suppose you want to add a constant value to the column like 1 or 10 or 100. So you can type df new column. This is how you define a new column that can be added to the data frame, and you can give a constant value to it. Uh, after you execute this command, you can see the data frame. Okay, the data frame will now have a new column, and all the entries in that column would be equal to 1. Okay, here, see, all the entries in this column are equal to 1. Okay, so this is how you add a new column to the data frame. Now let's try and give some string value to the data frame. For example, we are trying to create a new column with the title some value, and there what we are going to store is hello space plus the df name, that is whatever is the name of that particular row that we are going to store. So when you execute this command, a new column will be created which is hello, the name of the person, like hello George, hello Antonio, and so on. So let's print the df now. Okay, so this is the df, and if you see towards the end, sorry, if you see towards the end of it, you will see that there is a new column with the name some value, and some value has hello rooftop terrace room and suite bathroom. This is the value in the column room. Okay, let's see the column room. So this is the value in the column room. Fine. Next we are going to see how you can group rows by a specific column. So this is going to give you, this is the command df.group by host id. Host id is the column name, and dot count. So we are going to see the count of host ids. Okay, we are going to group the entire data by host id and see the count. Okay, so this is the count. It is giving the same count for every column because we are counting the host ID, the number of times that host ID appears in the particular data set. Like the host ID 13660 appears only once, but this host ID, this 392790154, appears for 17 times. Okay, so this is how we can get the count of a particular ID in the data frame, a particular column in the data frame. Then if you want to isolate a row, the command is df of df.index exactly equal to 1. Here df.index is the command which helps you to get the index location of the row. Okay, if you want to, access the row that is located at index number 1, then you can type this command, and this will give you only the first row of the data frame. Similarly, if you want to see, suppose the 100th row, you need to type here 100th, and this will give you the 100th row of the data frame. Okay, this is the index number that you specify here. Okay, if you want to isolate all the rows where the price is greater than $9,500, you can also give some conditions here, and this will give you a complete, separated subset of the data frame where the price is greater than 900. All the price values will be greater than 900 here. Okay, so you can see all the price values are greater than 900 for this particular data frame. Got it? Next, what we are going to see is, next we will see, this is the last command for pandas for this video. We are going to see how we can sort the values of the data frame by a particular column. For example, here we want to sort the values of the data frame by the price column, and we have set ascending is equal to false, because what happens is by default it will sort all the values in descending order. Descending means the lowest value will be appearing on the top and the highest value will be appearing at the bottom. By setting ascending is equal to false, we are going to get all the values in ascending order. That is, the highest value will be on the top and the lowest value will be on the bottom. Okay, so it has arranged the data frame by the price. And if you look at the price here, it gives you the highest price at the top and the lowest price at the bottom. Okay, so this is in ascending order because sorry, this is in descending order because ascending has been set as false. If ascending is equal to false, if we replace this particular command and if you just sort it, then it will be in descending order. Okay, and in descending order what happens is your price, the lowest price will be on the top and the highest price will be on the bottom. So here I'm going to set ascending is equal to false so that we get the highest price properties on the top and the lowest price properties at the bottom. Because of more interest, we have the properties of higher price. Fine, that's it. So in this video we saw a little bit more commands related to pandas, and I hope this would have given you more ideas as to how you can play around with the data sets, how you can extract meaningful information from them, and how you can do the transformations or the changes in the data set to simplify them or to create meaningful insights out of them. With that, uh, I'd like to conclude this video, and in the next video we will start talking about the NumPy library of Python, because pandas goes in combination with the NumPy library. If you are only doing the pandas part and you're not well versed with the NumPy, you will not be able to get much value out of the entire Python based data analysis or machine learning task. So we'll be talking about NumPys in the next video, and after that we'll be talking about more libraries which are important for the data analysis.